gas, bloating, indigestion, reflux, this might be an answer. Hello and welcome to the Ask Dr. Pickel Show, and today we're going to talk about something that might help with your gas, your bloating, your indigestion, your reflux. You know, I really didn't start to have a lot of digestive issues, stomach issues till I got about into college. And then, I would eat things and I'd feel bloated or, my stool was off, I know. I just, at that point in life, you're young, you don't think much about it, you just keep going and maybe try to avoid certain foods. And then one day I was talking to a friend and we got to talking about food, and then digestive issues somehow came up. And this guy's name was Brian, and Brian said, hey, Jason, why don't you try a couple of my digestive enzymes before you eat today? And he gave me a couple of these digestive enzymes, these little capsules. And I said, okay, I'll try it out. And I wanted to look at the bottle and make sure he wasn't giving me something crazy. And so I took a couple of the enzymes, and to my amazement, the meal that usually made me bloated, made me feel yucky, didn't bother me. And I was like, these things are magic. What the heck did you give me here? And so I grabbed the bottle back, looked at it a little closer, and I'm like, wow, there's something to this. And why hasn't anybody told me about this? So, then I, of course, got some of my own and started taking those about every time I ate. And, I cruised along for a while without a lot of symptoms. But so the thing is this an issue? Do people have problems with digestion due to a lack of digestive enzymes? And absolutely, and we're seeing a lot of this. And in fact, what do enzymes do? So enzymes break things down. They break nutrients down. So when we eat foods are in bigger molecules, even when they get to our small intestine, and in those bigger molecules, to get through the gut, they have to be broken down into smaller pieces. And that's what enzymes do. They kind of chew them up, make them into these smaller pieces. Your proteins, your carbs, your oils and fats, all these things have to be broken down. Now, this actually doesn't just start in the digestive tract. It actually starts in the mouth with the amylase and the lipase. Amylase breaks down a lot of your carbs and your sugars, and your lipase starts to break down your fats already at the level of the mouth. And then once it hits the stomach, there's a little more protease added, which helps to break down protein. And then once you get down into the stomach and then the small intestine, especially once you hit the small intestine, then that pancreas throws out a bunch of enzymes, and that's where the most action happens, the most are produced. In fact, there's quite a few enzymes that occur in the body here. Amylase, I know it's an odd name, that breaks down a lot of your carbs, your protease for your protein, that makes sense. Now when proteins break down though, they break down into smaller things called peptides, and then those have to be broken down further. So then we have a peptidase, and then we have lipase, which breaks down fat, and then we have sucrase, which breaks down sucrose. So when we eat sugar like sucrose, let's say I eat a piece of candy, that sugar actually breaks down into simpler sugars like fructose and glucose that absorb easily. Cellulase, so anytime you eat a plant, like let's say you eat a salad, you got to have cellulase to break that down. Lactase for dairy, of course, you've probably heard of that one. Maltase, in fact, recently my daughter told me about a friend of hers that he's like, hey, I can't eat anything with malt in it. Anytime I eat malt, it bothers him. So I'm like, hey, he's got a maltase issue there. And then alpha galactosidase, so that's again more for the carbs. And this last one's kind of interesting, dipeptylpeptidase, or DPP4, that's to break down gluten. Hey, can this help me with my gluten issue? Maybe. So that's even pretty cool. So then the thing we've got to look at is, to utilize enzymes in the body. Because we got to say, well, why? What's going on? Why am I not making enough enzymes? What's happening here? Well, one of the reasons can be lack of energy. So if you have a chronic fatigue issue, if you're tired all the time, you just low energy, whether it be low blood sugar issues or mitochondrial issues. I mean, there's a lot of things that can cause low energy. But you have to have energy to have enzyme usage, to have enzyme production and usage. So a lot of people who have these fatigue type issues, their enzymes are going to be low. A lot of people with chronic health issues and inflammation are going to have that too. Now, enzymes though are actually, once you use them, the great part is they can be recycled typically and reused. Typically, if you don't have a ton of inflammation destroying them, or as long as you have that energy to recycle them. And the digestion actually doesn't start with the food. As soon as I start to think about food, as soon as I start to smell food, that's when digestion really starts. That's when even some of these enzymes start to increase their your body starts to output more of those. So that digestion starts kind of early. And then what happens is when that food comes to our stomach, actually even before the food gets to our stomach, we start releasing hydrochloric acid. And that's the acid that our stomach makes to help break down our foods. Now, if you don't make enough of this acid, it's this acid and the pH change that it makes that actually triggers your pancreas to release these enzymes. So yeah, if you already have a low stomach acid issue, which we talked about that in a previous video, which I'll put a little link up there. But the thing is if you already have a lack of good acid issue, you're already in trouble. You're already not making enough digestive enzymes. So here's the thing about enzymes, is enzymes also are already in the foods that we're supposed to be eating. So if I eat a peach, it actually has the enzymes in it that help digest itself. Hey, that's pretty amazing. So that's why the raw foods movement, I guess you could say, is so great to a degree, because raw foods have their own enzymes. They actually break themselves down, which taxes our body less, puts less pressure on our system, our energy levels, things like that. We have to provide less when we eat raw foods, but I don't really recommend eating raw meat or anything like that. So the thing is when you eat these things, you need to have anything cooked, anything processed, you're going to lose. So anything that's cooked above 118 degrees kills the enzymes. And that's why when we eat all this processed food, all this stuff fried and cooked and everything, it loses all of its enzyme potential. All the energy within that food just goes away. So that's why on a lot of things, the rawer, the better. Again, to a degree, you also don't want to have a bacterial infection from your food or get food poisoning. Okay, and so the thing is how do you know if you're enzyme deficient? How do you know if this is an issue for you? Well, number one, bloating is a very big common symptom of that, because you're not digesting these foods and they're fermenting in your gut. Bowel changes, yeah, it's like, hey, when I eat, I get diarrhea, things like that, or bowel changes or gas. But the thing is this may not be every food you may be making plenty of a certain enzyme, but not enough of another. Floating stools, yeah, if you're not breaking down fats and oils, those stools will float. Indigestion, gas, gallstones can be a secondary effect of longer-term digestive enzyme deficiency. Pancreatitis, yeah, if your pancreas is inflamed, you're not going to make digestive enzymes well. People who smoke are going to have more problems making digestive enzymes. If you're under high stress, you're going to have trouble making digestive enzymes. You're going to have trouble digesting at all if you're high stress. If you take antacids a lot, yeah, you're not going to make digestive enzymes. And if you have an autoimmune condition, you're already inflamed usually in the gut, and you're not going to be digesting your food well, and digestive enzymes are pretty important a lot of times there. So you can add those enzymes in, which I did. I put a little link below to my favorite enzyme that I actually even use personally, so I think you might like that one, and it's actually made from plant enzymes. And then the thing is what happens when you add the enzymes? You actually start to absorb the nutrients that you eat. That's the thing, is you can say, gosh, I ate this really healthy meal. I tried to eat so healthy today. You ate it, you didn't digest it, it ended up in the toilet, and what did you get? You got maybe the sugars and carbs that went right through your gut. So the thing is you start to absorb more nutrients from the food, which means I ate, actually that gave me energy, made me feel better, and I didn't have gut symptoms. So again, more energy, less inflammation. So you're bringing foods in that now those proteins are digesting, so your immune system doesn't start to attack those food proteins and lead to food intolerances. And then we get decreased bloating, decreased gas, decreased constipation, decreased diarrhea. So a lot of these symptoms, a lot of these issues can really start to go away if the cause of your problem is a digestive enzyme issue. Now, if it is, yeah, you can take these for a while and they can be kind of a crutch, which is great. But eventually you've got to find out, why am I low? What is my underlying health issue that's really affecting my ability to make these enzymes? So that's what we've got to find out next. And also, I think you'll really like this next video, so watch that after this one, and I'll see you next time. God bless.